think we were only going live on Facebook to minimize these technical things since I'm a one woman show right now. But the stream actually solved that problem. But for whatever reason, it kept going out. The microphone kept going out. But hopefully y'all can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me well in the chat. And we're gonna roll on through. All right, and then one last thing. Do me a favor if you are watching tonight, hit the share button so that others can join us. All right, y'all can hear me. Everybody's in. Amazing. All right, so I decided to do bell hooks this month because of all of the different authors I thought about for Black History Month. We had said coming out of the holiday season, we were going to read Black authors. And eventually we said we were going to read Black women authors. And so once you narrow it down to Black women authors, there's still a lot to choose from, but there were maybe a handful. But when I realized, all right, we're in February, and this is a book this is my third shot at this book, not because it is not an amazing book. It is my third shot at this book because both times I was reading the book, I went into an emergency situation. The first time I was reading All About Love by Bell Hooks was during the COVID season, like literally right before moving back to South Carolina. So somewhere in that transition, I put the book down. And then about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, I was reading this, happened to be reading the book like during maybe the springtime, during the spring months. For those of us who work in the education field, it was during testing season, during those times where we have all of the testing protocols going on. The schools are a little bit more quiet, and you're just doing everything you can to, stay calm, stay focused. And so, one of the things that I've made like a tradition of doing down through the years, in and out of working within the school system is during that time of year, I will always choose a book to read. So, about 2 years ago, I picked up All About Love by Bell Hooks to read kind of during that testing season, spring, looking forward to summer vacation. And I picked it up, and somewhere in that time before the summer month hit, I happened to go through another bit of a crisis situation, more on the personal note. And so I lost track of the book again. But this, we're reading together, and I am on a schedule with it. So I'm really excited to be reading with y'all. Hello there, Grace Tyler. I want to welcome everyone who has jumped on since the point that we started. And I want to talk about really quick before we actually get to conversing about the book. I want to know from your perspective if you could drop in the chat on YouTube and Facebook during, times like the ones that we are living in, where there is so much happening in the world. So many things, even just within the last week, where I thought to myself, I for sure am going to stick with what I said I wanted to do with the book club, despite, all of what is going on in the world, because I believe that reading and writing are two things that are very important, especially when things are happening in the world. One, because it helps us to keep documentation of our feelings, as well as read to gain understanding, read to relax, all of those things. But during a time where tragedies are happening, there's a lot happening with a lot of us on an emotional level, just with all what's going on in the world. But we're all doing our very best, to stay focused, to keep our commitments. Um, to keep the faith, to stay encouraged. We're using all of our resources and everything that we have within and around us to encourage other people, to encourage our students, to, keep our families going when things are happening in the world. But in those times, oftentimes we lose track of doing simple things like spending a few minutes reading or maybe even journaling. And those are actually the times when it is most important. And so I said that as a precursor to a question to ask you all. I would love to know from y'all, um, why do you believe it is important to spend time reading when it's not necessarily mandatory, something that you have to do? Or something that, for an assignment or to learn how to do something on your job. I would love to know why you believe it's important to read and why you believe it's important to write. What are your reasons for spending time reading? And what are your reasons for spending time writing? And I see some of y'all have hopped off from Facebook and joined over on YouTube. That is fine as well. If you already follow me on YouTube and it's easier for you there, that's cool. But I definitely wanted to keep the Facebook stream up for all of my Facebook folk. I want to know, why do you believe it is important to read, and why do you believe it's important to write? And honestly, I would love your personal answer. It doesn't have to be, a philosophical or an intellectual or educational answer, but it can be. I just want to know personally, for each of you, why do you believe it's important to read, and why do you believe it's important to write? And think about that for a moment, and please, please, please drop it in the chat so that other people who come back to watch the live stream, so they'll be able to see your answer and it will help them to reflect. So my assumption is that most people on Facebook, I can see who the people are, but on YouTube, unless you comment, I don't know who's watching, which is completely fine for me. But just from the names that I do see, the people that I do know, I know that you are busy people. I know that Thursday is a night where you've worked all week and you're wanting to get to Friday, and even if you completely love your job, you want rest. And so the fact that you're on live tonight to discuss a book during a time like this says that it has some meaning for you. There is something meaningful about it for you. So I'd love for you to know and to drop it in the chat. Because in most cases, there are some members that we have that will read this later, that will come back and read for reflection. So most of you are adults on here. And so I'd love to know from an adult perspective. So Constance said, read to gain knowledge and write in order to reflect. Okay. Read to gain knowledge and write in order to reflect. Absolutely. All right. And I'll wait for some more responses and I'll read them out as I see them. And I will share mine. When I thought about like my journey with reading and with writing, what I wrote down, just that was really real, that I could really feel at the time, was that for me, reading and writing are important because reading, with the part about gaining knowledge, it helps, for me, it helps me to name things. So reading brings understanding for me. And just because of who I am and how I am, my personal, I guess, disposition or personality, having some level of understanding is really good for my mental health. So it really helps me even in the most like diverse of situations. If I can grasp some level of understanding, even if it's just surface level of why something happened, why something is happening, or, why something is important, it helps me to ground myself mentally. It helps me to mentally, I guess, ascend to what is, and it builds my faith. So even when I don't know everything, just gaining a little bit of knowledge or insight about something, it it's soothing to me. It's healing. Understanding, it's healing for me. Um, and so that's with reading, getting information. Now, writing, I believe, is also a way of gaining knowledge um, about ourselves and how we process things. And so, similar to what Constance said, you write in order to reflect. So, it's a cycle to me. Like you write in order to reflect, and you gain knowledge through your reflection about yourself, and you gain understanding about yourself. And so that's what it is for me. Reading and writing are important because they help us to name things, and when we're able to just kind of put our finger on something, even just a little bit, it brings understanding and healing and freedom. And so that's why it's important to me. So I'm gonna keep looking for. I give it another 2 minutes and then we'll move on, because I want to definitely get into how we're gonna flow, and give you all a chance to share a little bit um, about your experience so far with this book. All right. Hi there, Miss Thompson. Good to see you. Hey, Charity, Helena, Constance. Thank y'all for joining. I saw another of my coworkers on earlier, Mr. Jesus. I'm not sure if you're still on, but thank you for joining. All right, I'm looking for a couple of more. I see one over in YouTube where someone said, it's Miss Helena, reading and writing is therapeutic for sure. And then you said it's as if I'm stepping into another world when I'm reading and writing. Okay, I love that too. All right, so with that being said, and I'm going to continue to look. Thank you for subscribing, Grace. I appreciate you joining the fam over here on YouTube. And you're welcome to come on over to Facebook if you'd like and join the actual book club group, but you'll still be able to catch the lives either way. Okay, thank you. All right, so I wanted to know just from each of you why you believe reading and writing is important. And for those of you who have read some of All About Love, I'm already seeing the comments about it. I've gotten texts about it, like this book though. I want you to just write in the chat really quick for me one thing that you're already enjoying about this book. It can be a quote, or it can just be how you think or how you're feeling, how you're thinking and how you're feeling about the book. I'm gonna give y'all a second to write it, and then I'm gonna tell you mine. All right, and I'm gonna read just a real brief, just Bell Hooks' bio. I encourage you, if you've never read this book, or if you've not read anything by Bell Hooks, to research a little bit about her for Black History. I think she's a great literary genius to study, and just her thinking around the topic of love and so forth is just, it's brilliant. It's eye-opening. I just find healing in just listening and just reading and then listening. I watched some of her interviews on how she thinks about love, community, relationships, and so forth. And this book is going to get into some of that. I read another one. Miss Sarah says, reading in this season to learn and compare ideas, writing to remember things better. Absolutely. And so Miss Sarah Rivers is actually my mom. She's the person who got me into reading and music, two of my great loves, which, really stem from the brand Creative Scholar. And so I'm happy that I'm actually able to be in a book club and read with her and all of you. All right, I see. Let's see. Let me check Facebook before we keep going. right, here's some of the ones that have been shared so far of why people are enjoying this book. Charity says this book had me in my feels a little bit, for sure. Ooh, a quote that has been shared is on page 34. Lots of people learn how to lie in childhood. That is one of the great quotes of this book. And Charity says writing is a way to reflect, escape, and prepare. Mm-hmm. For sure. All right. Thank y'all for sharing those. You can keep dropping them and I'll check. I'm just gonna read the about the author in here. And this is the last page of the book if you already have it. It says Bell Hooks is a cultural critic, feminist theorist, and writer. Celebrated as one of our nation's leading public intellectuals by the Atlantic Monthly, as well as, let's see, 100 Visionaries. Now, and it says Bell Hooks passed away in 2021. So, obviously, when this was written, she was living. She was a professor of English at Yale and Oberlin College. She's the author of more than 17 books, including All About Love, New Visions, and it lists all of her works here, some of the more popular ones of the 17. But although she was already very well known, very well respected in the community of writers as well as scholars, for whatever reason, some people attribute it to George Floyd and a lot of things that were happening with police brutality and, you know, lives being lost, to why in 2020 there was like a resurgence of popularity of Bell Hooks's books, but also this one in particular. It was already, you know, heralded as one of her great works, but in 2020 it became like a pretty popular one. All right. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned the author of the book. I believe that after reading this, many of us will read more of her books. Okay. I'll read another quote I see in the chat. Chatty said chapter 2 was rough because it put cycles in the bright light, and that didn't feel so good reading some of it. I appreciate your honesty. Thank you for sharing that, Charity. And I love this book because I believe it is so honest. She's very honest in her writing. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. It's 7:30, and so we have about 30 minutes. And in this last few minutes of our opening session, I just want to share like how we're gonna read through the book, so everyone can kind of have in mind, you know, when we come on Thursdays, these are the pages that should be read, that we're gonna discuss. You know, if you don't get them read or if you have already read ahead, completely fine. I'm just helping to have a template for how we can get through the book, even though it's a great book. With the time and the focus, it's a very easy read. But I know that life gets in the way because it's gotten in the way for me more than one time. So we'll do that. All right. So the book is 237 pages. So exactly. That's if you count everything. So basically what I calculated is that if we read about 77 pages for each of our sessions, we'll be able to get through the complete book in the month of February. Some of y'all will have this book completed by the weekend, which is fine. But just to give everyone who has never read the book before a chance to read through it at a reasonable pace and actually, you know, to absorb everything, we'll read about 77 or so pages a week. A better way to break that down, though, that's a lot more tangible for most of us busy folk, is 11 pages a day. So if you break it down to where you're reading 11 pages a day, your 77 pages for the week will be read. This might help some people. It might not help others. It's going to be helpful to me because as much as I love reading and as great of a book as this is, on weeknights when I have worked all day and I'm trying to keep up with my tasks of things that I have to do, if I'm editing some other stuff, if I'm preparing for other things, it would be easy for me to say, oh, I'll just read tomorrow. But if I realize, like, oh, I only have to read 11 pages today to keep up and not lose track, it's helpful. I don't know. Y'all let me know in the chat what your strategy is. If breaking it down by page number per day is helpful to you in consistency, I'd love to know in the chat. I am checking the chat to see what you all say. But this is for people who want a little help. 11 pages a day will keep you up to par so that we are able to read through and discuss the book together in this month of February. All right, so that's the first thing. So I know coming into the day today, and that is based off of, I went off of from today to the last Thursday of the month, which I believe is the 28th. If we read through it that way, we'll get through it, give or take a few pages. Let me know in the chat, like, what do you do? Do you have a ritual or a routine that you do when you're reading consistently? Do you read a certain amount of pages? Do you read like a certain time every morning? Are you an evening reader? Let me know what do you do to get through your reading. For those of you who are ahead, completely fine. You're already ahead in the game. Read as much or as little as you want, as long as you are able to keep up. All right. Cause some days, um, you're right, can be overwhelming. So let me know in the chat if you all have another strategy that you use. And just share your ideas. Share when you are able, even if it's not like an everyday thing. Sometimes your trick may work for somebody else. So make sure you share with us what you do. And make sure you share with us so we can see what you do. All right, so that's the first thing that I wanted to say. If you read about 11 pages a day, you'll do 77 pages or so for the week, and we'll be able to get through the book with the rest of the into the rest of the sessions, the 3 sessions for this week. All right. Miss Constance Goodwine Lewis said, I definitely have to schedule it. Okay. Definitely. When I schedule it, I'm on it. You said, Thompson, I use it during a break throughout the day. All right, great way to stay on track when it feels overwhelming some days. Good suggestion. All right, thank you for giving me feedback on that. I appreciate it. All right, so that's that. The next thing I am going to offer this time around, I want to talk really quick. Many of you know, some of you don't. The Pomodoro method is a great way to read. It's a great study method for those of you who maybe have not heard of it or you just need a little bit of a refresher. It is a method whereby you decide how many intervals you will do, and you just break up the task into small chunks to give yourself a chance. You give your distractions an opportunity to vent. So how it goes is, if let's say one Pomodoro or one section of time is 15 minutes, or we'll start small. We'll say it's 10 minutes. You set yourself to read for 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes, you give yourself a 2-minute break. So for people who, struggle with the scrolling or your task list, or you're someone who you start reading and then everything you need to do comes to your mind, or that thing pops in your mind. For me, when it's computer work, or if I'm reading, even though I'm reading to read, I'm also reading it with y'all. So I'll be reading and I'll be thinking, oh, did you remember to post the time? Did you remember to share the link? Did you remember to check? Like those things will come to my mind when I'm reading. Or sometimes I will get a quote that I really, really want to share. And instead of writing it down, and I'm already highlighting, I will get distracted and be like, oh, I'm going to forget, my thought of what I wanted to say. So let me do this now. Pomodoro helps me because I'll read for my 10 minutes. Then I will, retweet whatever, not retweet, because I don't know when the last time I've been on Twitter. I will repost whatever. And then I have 2 minutes and then I have to go back to reading. So what I'm going to do next week, the plan is to do a live Pomodoro. So basically, I will post it everywhere that I posted information about the book club and say for those who want to do a live Pomodoro next Wednesday night or whatever night we decide, I will go live and I will be reading too. So basically, I will have the 10-minute timer after the 10 minutes, and it'll be, I may do the option of Zoom if people want to do it. If no one says they want to do it, or people, just feel like, oh, I'll catch it if I catch it, that's fine. I will just go live. But if I have enough people who want to do it, I will provide a Zoom link. And see, that way with the Zoom link, as a matter of fact, that's how I'm going to do this. I will post the notification that we can do it on all socials, but you will have to say, yes, I want to do it, or I'll just send you the Zoom link to either your inbox or however you're watching this. You just have to let me know and I get the Zoom link to you. Because the point of doing the Pomodoro is accountability. And if I can't see you, I can't hold you accountable. You can see me, but we can't hold each other, accountable to focus. Now, for those of you who would prefer to do something like this on a Saturday morning, or just give me some feedback on it, it can be here in the chat, or you can just let me know, however you want to let me know. And I want to do a live Pomodoro next week. That way, that for those who want to do it, we can do it. You can use that for anything, for studying, for working on projects, for working on your business. There's so many ways you can do it, but it has helped me tremendously when it comes to reading with a distracted, undiagnosed ADHD brain. It has helped me tremendously. So for those people who maybe you started reading with us last time, but you fell off because of time, you got busy. If it'll be helpful to you, let me know. I will send you the link for when we will do our live Pomodoro reading session together. That might be for someone who you're not able to do the 11 pages a night and you want to do 30 pages one night, jump on and do that hour Pomodoro with us. All right. So that's that for that. If anybody else wants to join the Pomodoro session, let me know and we'll figure out when is the best time. I'm gonna probably, evenings are pretty flexible, but if y'all say like, nah, I really could use like a Saturday morning, we all jump on Zoom, say our hellos, set the timer, and spend that hour reading. And I also found, for people who you're home with your family, you also have within the Pomodoro, you have a longer break. You read for 10 minutes, you break for 2 minutes. Read for 10 minutes, break for 2 minutes. Read for 10 minutes, break for 2 minutes. And then after, let's say if we do an hour and a half, after 40 minutes, you get a longer break. So you might be able to promise if your child is waiting for, you to make them, fry them another egg, you might say, give me 10 minutes and I have another break. But then after you fry the egg, you'll come back because we're waiting for you to come back to finish for that hour. So that's something that we'll do as our Pomodoro. We'll do that once a week for the rest of the weeks to give us a chance to all just sit down and read if we want to do that together. Oh, absolutely. You can invite your mom and your sister. This is not just a women's group as well. If you have a man who wants to join, they might not want to read all about love with us, but this is a good book for men as well. And she also has some other books in this series that will be good for men. random, neither here nor there. But yes, you're absolutely allowed to add people to join. Um, if you want to have them to join the actual book club in Facebook, that would be great. As far as the Zoom session goes, I'm just gonna, do it where it's safe for everyone. If you join it, we will want your camera to be on so that we all know who's on. We're able to see who's on, and we're all like on there reading and having that accountability together. So we'll do that like that. If y'all want to ask people to join, that would be great. We would love to have you. All right, I hear someone say, okay, I see some saying I would need the link. I'll definitely share it. Um, Charity said I keep it in my purse, so every little chance I'm reading. That is smart. That is very good to do. Miss Helena is sharing with you all a website, pomodorotechnique.com. I would definitely visit it if you're just hearing it for the first time. It may make a little bit more sense if you actually see it. And there are different like templates. There's all types of things on that website that would be very helpful for those who want to check out the Pomodoro technique. It's a neat little story. What Pomodoro is a tomato. I forget exactly which language it is. I think it might be French. It's a tomato, and it was a student who, y'all know back when they had the timers that were the shape of a tomato. So that's where it came from. The student, started using that method and shared it with people, and they call it the Pomodoro technique. So check out the website. It may help you with house cleaning, all of the things. All right. So that's the plan. We'll do one Pomodoro a week, and then we will plan to read 11 pages a day, if that's helpful. 77 or so pages. We'll meet on Zoom to do the reading session. All right, let me know if you have any questions or if I am unclear, if my rambling has taken you all the way to the left. Let me know, and I'll be glad to clear those things up now. All right? Let me know, and I'll be glad to clear those things up now. And I will close tonight with just this brief little discussion. In the introduction of in the introduction of the book, Bell Hooks talks about a time where she was going through a personal struggle with grief and lost love, and she would be walking to her job. And as she would be walking to her job, she would walk past a place where there was some graffiti written. And the phrase that was written up on the wall was something that she described as something that anchored her. And I'm gonna read the quote to y'all. I don't want to spoil, but I am gonna read the quote to y'all so y'all can know what in the world I'm talking about. All right. So on the first page of the intro, it says, on my kitchen wall hang 4 snapshots of graffiti art I first saw on construction walls as I walked to my teaching job at Yale University years ago. The declaration said, the search for love continues even in the face of great odds, was painted in bright colors. At the time, recently separated from a partner of almost 15 years, I was often overwhelmed by grief so profound it seemed as though an immense sea of pain was washing my heart and soul away. Overcome by sensations of being pulled underwater, drowning, I was constantly searching for anchors to keep me afloat, to pull me back safely to the shore. The declaration on the construction walls, with its childlike drawing of unidentifiable animals, always lifted my spirits. And so I wanted to ask just a quick discussion question. I thought it was so, nicely written in a way that we could all connect with when she described seeing that phrase as an anchor. She described it as an anchor. And so the question that I have for us tonight, as just a discussion as we relate on this book, is what were some anchors, or what are some anchors if you're going through, anything right now that is challenging? What were some anchors that kept you afloat during grief, loss, and pain? What were or what are some anchors that have kept you or are keeping you afloat during a time of grief, loss, and pain? And you can be as general or as specific as you like. I'd love for you to write that answer in the chat. What is something that you would describe as an anchor, the way she described seeing that quote on that wall as an anchor for her? And I'll read the quote again. A graffiti artist wrote, "The search for love continues even in the face of great odds." Just a thought that was anchoring to her, a visual, a sight that she saw that was anchoring to her. Drop down in the chat and let us know something. You can be as general or as specific that you have found. It can be something simple, or it can be something that most people would think of or that no one would think of, but it's been your experience. What is something that you have found to be an anchor during grief, loss, and pain? And I'll give you a minute to think about it, or a few minutes, about a minute or two, and I will start sharing. And I will share my own as well as we wrap up on tonight. I wonder if this is updating for me. Let me see. All right, I see some. Okay. All right, one says writing out my prayers, thoughts, and scripture reading. Thank you for sharing that. And Sarah Thompson, we have two Sarahs with us, says sharing inspirational quotes with my sister each day and stating something that happened that day to be grateful related to the quote. I love that. Thank you for sharing that as well. Constance said, God's word, prayer, and my village. I love that too. I'm very thankful that you all are here tonight and you're willing to share these things with us, because I believe we all, could use encouragement in different ways. Definitely. A lot of what you all said have been things that have been an anchor for me. And I can honestly say an anchor for me that comes to mind is a song. Like, there is a song for probably just about every emotion, every thought, every feeling, every world event. A song comes to me. And even in the most just confusing or time where it's hard for me to explain or even describe how I feel, if my thoughts are everywhere and there's all kinds of everything happening, or even times where maybe there's not much happening, and that is the source of whatever my, challenge is, a song. So definitely, I don't know. It's just something about a tune will come to me. And sometimes it is the most random of tune. And I have come to notice lately that a lot of times a song will come to me that is connected to a memory that is a relief. There are certain, I guess, times, memories, moments, sometimes insignificant, but whatever was happening in those moments, my feelings, my emotions were soothed. I felt my nervous system was in a soothed and grounded state. So sometimes whatever a song that is related to those moments will come to me. So that's definitely a thing. And I thank y'all for sharing because I believe one of the goals or even the things that will not even so much a goal, but something that's going to just naturally be a result of reading a book like this together and discussing it is that, you know, it humanizes us because we all experience a lot of the same things in different ways. In a book that talks about love and what it means and what it means in different contexts and different types of relationships, I believe that the place where we feel the most human is a place of love. Um, I'm thinking back on last week when we had heard the news about what had happened at the DCA airport in Washington, and um, immediately when I saw that news, the first thing or the first person that came to mind, one of my very good friends came to mind because my very good friend lives in that area, and I thought about how the last time I saw that very good friend, or maybe I've seen her one time since then, I'm not sure. But the last time I flew, which was the first time in a very long time, on my way home, I flew out of that airport on that airline and met a new friend on the plane, someone I had never met before that was in the DC area for a prayer vigil or something that was happening. But a book is something that brought us together. She was sitting beside me on the plane, and the book that she was reading, the title of the book, um, I piqued my interest. It looked like something I could possibly be interested in. And I was reading. We were both reading. And so we looked at each other's books and realized, oh, we have something in common. We have our faith is in common. And just in to have had that experience, to meet a stranger and bond with a stranger, over our faith and over a love for reading, leaving from being with a friend and then a few months later just thinking about that experience and of what the tragedy that happened, even though I don't know any of the people, I don't know for sure that I came in contact with any of those people, at the time where I was, in that area. But I believe the place where, my heart is hurt, where that is still on my mind a lot, is a place of love. I believe, when tragedies and stuff happen, it's not that we didn't love or care or think about people that we don't know well before. I just believe that we are reminded of our commonality as humans, regardless of what our different views and perspectives are. And I believe that that is a place where we are reminded of the importance of community. And even though we're connected right now via the phone, via the internet, um, and although most of us know each other on Facebook, obviously, but on YouTube, I'm meeting new people, and some of you are actually even connecting through talking in the comments on YouTube and on Facebook. That there is a place of love for all of us. That in the busyness of life and of trying to keep up, or even trying to keep working through and keep walking through tragic things that happen in the world, where we aren't really given the permission to stop like that. I believe the grief, that we collectively feel is a place of love. And so as I was preparing to meet with y'all tonight, and as we prepare to close out, I definitely wanted to, mention that we are 100%, on my end, I know for sure, praying for, you know, our world. We're praying for our country, we're praying for each other, we're praying for, people who lost loved ones in such a horrific fashion, most recently. But what happened last week, not to minimize it at all, is not the first of those times where a collective, a huge tragedy has highlighted the collective love that we share amongst each other, just as human beings. And so I'm most excited about reading this book because I believe that just the communal part of the reason why we have a love-hate relationship with social media. I believe that the communal part of that is something that is just going to automatically be an outflow, not just of spending time together discussing ideas, but of reading about the importance of it and how it plays out in our community and within our own lives, within our families. And it makes me realize like just how blessed I am, and just collectively how blessed we are, to have each other and to have opportunities to do these types of things, to find just a few moments, to find a little bit of space throughout a week where we can actually reflect and read about something that is important from someone who spent a majority of their life, just like most of us, in search in different ways for a love that fulfills us in different aspects of our lives. So I'm really excited about this book. So far, y'all have given some amazing feedback. I'd love to know in the chat as we close out who has the book, and if there's anyone who wanted to share a quote that maybe you came on a little bit later and you didn't get a chance, and I'll make sure that I acknowledge your quote. The last thing I wanted to say too, I did not give. I didn't share this. And I said this with the last group that we read with. A great thing to do to help with the discussion, especially when we all come together, so that you'll remember to share, but also that you will remember when you're done reading the book. And I got this suggestion from another creative, and I shared it last time, to, as you finish each chapter, to write out 2 or 3 sentences that summarize the chapter. And we did that maybe once or twice with the last book, and it is just so amazing to hear how the chapters resonate differently with different people. So even though we all read the same chapter, our 2 to 3 sentence summaries didn't all sound alike. They all pulled out something or focused on something different. So as you're reading through the chapter, just take a moment to jot down 2 or 3 sentences that summarize that chapter for you. Of course, so you can share in the group, but mainly so that when you're done reading the book, you'll have a brief way to remember the things that were important to you, the things that resonated with you. So, when we move on to the next book, it won't just feel like, we're moving on. Although I don't believe we're going to have that problem with this book. I feel like this is one of those books that it's kind of hard to summarize. I feel like it's something every time you read it is just something new. But I do believe that writing the 2 or 3 sentences per chapter is definitely going to help to remember what is important when we walk away from reading it. So that's the last suggestion that I wanted to give. I did see one more. Sarah Rivers said, "The will of God will never take you where the grace of God cannot keep you." All right. Thank you for sharing that. Stepping into another. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss out. I didn't leave anyone out. All right. So I believe that's just an encouragement, but I may have missed when you were saying something that's grounding for you or something that is an anchor for you. But thank you for sharing that. And then over in Facebook, I have Helena wrote writing out my prayers, thoughts, and scripture reading. Okay. As something that is grounding. Okay. And then the last comment, thank you for taking the time to do this. Much needed to collectively share love with our fellow readers. Absolutely. I'm so excited about it. I thank y'all for your time tonight. It is 8:02. Thank you for your patience through the stream dropping a bunch of times. I don't really know what that was about, but I'm glad that we made it through and that you all were able to tune in on Facebook and YouTube. Those of you who came in from Substack, thank you for switching on over and jumping on that YouTube link. We'll try again next week, and hopefully we'll have the Substack stream live along with YouTube and Facebook, and we'll go from there. Let me know after this is over if you have not already. I did see one for sure. If you would like the link to do the Zoom Pomodoro, it will not be complicated at all. You do not have to dress up or do any of the things. Literally, you can be at your kitchen table with your book. And I will start the Zoom. I hit the timer. We'll all be on mute. And unless you need to say something, and we'll read for our hour. We'll go through our increments, and then we'll wrap for the week. So I'll come back by Saturday as the deadline to let you know like when we will do the Zoom Pomodoro. You're welcome to give me suggestions as well. If there's a particular day that you think you would enjoy doing it, let me know. I may be willing to do more than one because I'm going to be reading every day. So just let me know, and then we'll go from there. I'll make sure I post in all of the different places so you can let me know. I won't put the Zoom link like publicly on any of these platforms, but I will share the Zoom link in the book club on Facebook because I know that there's a chat there and that will be private. There's also a private chat on Substack. So I will share the Zoom link for the Pomodoro reading sessions in a chat. I just won't place it on Facebook or on YouTube. So please let me know if you want the link and you are not connected via Facebook or Substack. All right, thank you for your time tonight. I'm excited about reading this. So excited about reading this with y'all. I'm actually rereading the majority of the book. I think the last 3 chapters will be new for me. And so I really am excited about reading it, and I believe it's gonna be a blessing to us, and it's gonna benefit us in our families and our communities. All right, for us to grow in this way and to share in this way. All right, thank y'all so much for your time tonight. I hope you have a great night. Enjoy your weekend. Make sure you check out the streams, connect on Facebook or Substack so you can see what we're doing. And I look forward to meeting with you again next week at 7 for the live book chat. And just stay posted over the next couple of days to Facebook or Substack for how to get the Zoom link. And I'll post it on the YouTube community page to shoot me an email, and I'll send you the Zoom link if you're not connected on Substack or YouTube. Substack or Facebook. All right. Thank y'all. Final closing. Have an amazing night. I so look forward to seeing you soon. All right. Bye-bye.